Let's hit record. So we have begun to record this now. That's fantastic. And, I'm so grateful. Yeah, you guys are going to see me again, Darren. Absolutely. I'm going to turn on the HD in just a moment. And, internet is what it is. So we're going to do our best to make the video available and do the HD camera. I love that you guys able to see me. I think that adds value to what we're doing here. And Chelsea has instructions to text message me. I got my phone right nearby, and I should be able to see it, making sure I'm in Hakalau. And if we get a little bit of a lag, or if for some reason it's not going good, I will dump the video. But for the most part, here comes the video. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I think it's on. Aloha, everyone. Welcome to my house again. So glad that you guys are here. I'm going to move away the little side panel that's in front there. That way I just don't see the questions popping up. In the beginning, Chelsea is going to help out and answer any questions that come up. And she's going to do her best to get through any of the questions that you guys may have. And then any other questions that you have as we go along that are for me, what I want you to do is go ahead and type in your question. The moment you have a question, type it in, get it there in the computer. And what I will do is towards the end, I will save some time to answer the questions. Now, this is a pretty heavy topic, cause and effect. I'm glad we have a full hour for it. I'm probably going to take the hour. I'll save some time for questions. Cause and effect is a pretty heavy topic, and it's an important one. It's a very powerful topic. That's what we're discussing tonight. We are discussing the idea of cause and effect. Now, before we get started, I want to get through a couple of logistical things. As always, I would love for you guys to remain connected with us. Uh, I just got a little text message from Chelsea saying the video has a little bit more lag than last time, but it's pretty good. So we'll see if it keeps up. Chelsea, let me know if it gets any worse. Anyway, please make sure you connect with us on the social media. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. Connect with us on the social media side. We got Empowerment Partnership, Dr. Matt. Those of you on Facebook, go ahead and do that. I'm also on Twitter. You guys can follow me there. I think it's /Dr. Matthew James. I can double check that, Chelsea. We can always post something on my blog. And that reminds me, make sure that you're hooked up on my blog, drmatt.com. That's a different email address, a different website. We send out different email blasts to you guys from that. I'm sure you're all on NLP.com. If not, I'm not sure how you got here. Maybe a friend told you about it. Maybe it's your first time here. And if it is, congratulations. Aloha. I'm Dr. Matt James, and I'm going to be guiding you through a very big concept tonight called cause and effect. And before we get started, though, I want some help from you guys. I didn't do a poll last time, and you guys said how much you love polls. So I set up a quick poll. Let's launch the poll. Here we go. Which NLP topic? See, after this class, I want to do an NLP class. I want to do a class on reframing or anchoring, sensory acuity, or rapport. So I put a poll up there. You guys are able to see it now. Here are the four major topics. Reframing. Reframing is being able to take a negative concept in your life and look at it a different way. Anchoring is that Pavlovian response, learning how to gain more control over your state, be in a positive state more often. You have sensory acuity, being able to look outside you and get a better idea of how to calibrate things going on in your life. And then, of course, we have rapport. The rapport is you being able to establish a deeper level of trust. I would love to do a class on any of these. I mean, of course, any NLP topic. These were the first four that popped into my head. I'm going to let you guys vote a little bit more. Only about 22% have voted. You guys are going to determine what these webinars are all about. And so the next webinar that I do is going to be on a specific NLP topic, teach you guys some techniques, go through it in as much detail as I can, provide you with that information. And I want you guys to let me know what you want. And so what we got is reframing, anchoring, sensory acuity, and rapport. Please also keep in mind that there is a 30-minute class on rapport that you guys can get a hold of. It's a 30-minute video that I did where I teach rapport. I'd love to teach it here because we can do questions and answer. And again, rapport would be a cool topic. So about half of you have voted. So I'm going to close the poll. about 50%. I love to at least get half voted there. I'm going to close the poll and share the results. So there we go. Those are the results. You guys picked it. And if you're watching this on the video, if you're watching this and it's already happened and it's in the future at some point, the reason why I did anchoring next is because you asked for it. Then we got reframing sensory acuity. During the anchoring, I will ask what you guys want. I'll throw in a fourth topic. We'll take anchoring out, and then we'll see what you guys want to talk about. So sweet. Thank you guys very much. Chelsea and I will take note of the fact that we're going to be doing anchoring next. Thank you guys very much for the help on that. I appreciate it. So let's get back to the webinar. What we're covering tonight. Here's what we're covering. We are covering the strategy for empowerment. That's why it's a big topic. We're going to be covering the strategy for how you as an individual can become more empowered in your life. And no, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in an instant. I know there are seminar trainers that are out there that, do my 1-day event, do my 2-day event, or watch this webinar and all of your problems will disappear. I was in Australia. Man, Andoni, you're on the webinar here. It might have been in Melbourne, and it might have been while I was down in Australia. And I was talking about the fact that I still go through bumps in the road in my life, that I still hit obstacles and that I can overcome them. A person wrote on a 3x5 card. They were asking questions. They wrote on the card, well, God, if Dr. Matt has been in NLP for 30 years now and he's still dealing with baggage, what hope do we have? And I'm like, no, no, no. I said, come on. Look, being more empowered in your life doesn't mean you're never going to encounter an obstacle again. I encounter obstacles all the time. I mean, my biggest joke is I have a teenage son now. If a teenage son doesn't know how to bring up obstacles for you, man, he's just not doing his job. So I tell you what, I love my kids, and kids bring up obstacles. I own a business. I've owned it for 11 years. I've ran it for 16. That brings up obstacles. I just got elected to be the chairman of the board for my kids' kindergarten through 12th grade school. I'm taking on a whole level of responsibility with that. And we just hired a new head of the school, a headmaster. And I was on the search committee to help hire this guy. And man, did we hit obstacles and communication barriers. But you know what? At the end of the day, though, I'm in charge of my empowerment. I'm going to tell you straight up, you're always going to hit obstacles. And I'm going to teach you how to deal with obstacles during this webinar. I'm going to give you my best advice for it. And cause and effect is about taking back some empowerment, understanding how to avoid the blame game. I tell you what, the thing that takes your empowerment and just hands it to the next person, you literally take your empowerment and you say, there you go, you're in charge of me. The first thing that can do that is by you blaming other people. And I'm going to tackle that one. I'm going to do my best to help you guys with the concept of the blame game and how to avoid that and overcome that in your life. And then finally, how to take back control of your results. This is a section that I teach in our NLP trainings. It's one of the major themes. What day is today? I'm losing track of days already. Today is Thursday. In a week from now, I'm going to be in Los Angeles. I'm going to be in California teaching a practitioner training. And I'm going to say on day one, here are 4 themes. These are the 4 major themes that we talk about. Perception is projection, that what we carry in our mind gets projected out onto the world around us. I dealt with that in the last webinar. If you didn't attend that webinar, I highly recommend that you get the link. And Chelsea, one of the things that I would love to do is have a resource page on drmatt.com as well as nlp.com where people can go to these webinars. We're going to organize that, get that going for you guys. The second one is empowerment. That's what we're dealing with this time. The third major theme is the mind-body connection. I could do a webinar on that at some point in the future. And then the responsibility for change. Whose job is it to create change? These 4 things are the major themes of NLP. And in LA, when I'm there, Los Angeles, in about a week, I'm going to be covering these. Day one, right up at the beginning, because they are so important. Now, I talked about this idea last time, and I want to reiterate it. I want to bring it up again. If you look over here, you got quality of life over time. And you have at the top really good, and at the bottom, you have really bad. And in the middle there, you have the gray zone. The gray zone is where my health isn't so bad, but it's not that great. It's kind of, I'm not sick today, so who cares? That's called the gray zone. In life, people go through these phases of the gray zone where things are and then things can get really bad. You can get sick, unhealthy, no money, broke, and you're hitting rock bottom. My heart goes out to you if you're there. I've been there. Then you have the times where things are great. The money's rolling in, you're exercising all the time, your relationship is firing on all cylinders. What I want to suggest to you is that when you understand cause and effect and you understand empowerment, that you're able to get out of that gray zone and continuously improve and get that quality of life going higher and higher. I truly believe that people just want to be happy, and happiness comes from being empowered. Happiness comes from understanding your purpose. Happiness comes from improving your quality of life. And so I sit here free of judgment. I want you to be totally in charge of your own happiness, your own joy. This is why I don't teach you guys what made me happy. That's why I don't share with you what diet I do, what exercise routine I do. I don't share these things because I discovered them and they make me happy. Everybody has a different body. Everybody does have a different path in their life. And so what I want to share with you is a basic concept to help you get on track. And what we tend to run in life are patterns. We tend to run patterns in life, and the patterns look like this. We have this conscious driven goal. We have a desire to do something, to achieve something. I want to be healthy. And you know what? I used to weigh 85 pounds more than I do right now. And it was probably actually about 100 pounds of fat because I've gained weight with muscle, and muscle on average weighs twice as much as fat. And I had to take back the empowerment. And Chelsea said that she has stopped being able to hear me about 15 seconds ago. She said no one else has complained, so it just might be her. That's possible. Chelsea's up in Seattle, so I think I saw Stacy on the call too. Well, if Stacy can still hear me, then it's just Chelsea. Or if Stacy can't, it could just be Seattle. But anyway, we'll check back in with Chelsea in a moment. Let me open up my questions. Don't you just love technology? It's so great when it works and so interesting when it doesn't. Darren, I can hear you fine. Selwa, Chris, sweet, no problem. Fantastic. I'm going back to it. Chelsea, sorry, that's your computer. I'm recording, so we'll be good. Back to what I was talking about. I was 85 pounds heavier. And as I would sit there eating these foods and blaming other people, it's not my fault, it's that person's fault. My favorite blame game with weight was I go to hotels. I travel so much. It's not my fault. It's the hotel's fault. It's their fault because hotel food is crap. That made me feel good, you know. The blame game makes you feel good. I'll get to that in a moment. The problem that I want to express to you that most people encounter is that they sit there wanting to be healthy, happy with their career, happy with their relationships, but their behavior is a total opposite. It's as if their actual behavior doesn't match the goal that they're setting. And in Time magazine, there was a study, and I do believe this is up on my blog. In Time magazine, there was an article written about two studies that were done that questioned whether or not we had conscious free will. I talked about this in a previous webinar. Let me summarize it briefly for you and then move on. The researchers, one in the US, one in Europe, asked, if we have free will, how come the smoker does this? I should quit. I should really give up smoking. But yet they keep smoking. I mean, if we had true free will, this webinar would be done and I would be out of a job because I would look into the camera and I would say, if you're a smoker, just stop. If you're unhealthy, just be healthy. Just think in your mind, I am healthy. But see, the problem is we know that doesn't work. And I had someone on the last webinar ask if I would teach the law of attraction. I might get there someday after I have done enough webinars, because in ancient times in Hawaii with Huna, you wouldn't teach the law of attraction till you understood cause and effect, because you can't just think happy thoughts. You can't just think, I want to be successful. I want to be successful. There's more to it than that. There's goal setting, there's cause and effect, there's perception is projection, there's letting go of the baggage we carry. I want to share with you the idea of cause and effect. These two arrows that you see right here. You consciously want to be healthy, but your behavior is the total opposite. I want to share with you how to begin to overcome that. And the idea is cause and effect. So let's start off really simple. On one side of the equation, you have cause, and on the other side of the equation, you have effect. Now, oh, look at that. I have a pen. Can you guys, I hope you guys can see this yellow pen. I'm wearing a red Aloha shirt today. Not sure why. It's the first one that caught my eye in my closet. But anyway, got this yellow pen right here. Cause and effect on a physical standpoint is really simple. If I take this pen and drop it, that's a cause and an effect. Cause, effect. And if I keep doing it, it's going to happen over and over again. So that's cause and effect. From a metaphysical standpoint, from an energy standpoint, everything you think, everything you say, everything you do creates a specific result. So from a cause and effect perspective, you create the results in your life. Now, from an NLP, from a HUNA, from a psychological perspective, your view of the world is either on one side of this equation over here or the other. On one side of the equation, when you're on what we call the cause side of the equation, the C, when you're on the cause side of the equation, you know I'm creating my results. You get it. You are in charge of your results. When you're on the effect side of the equation, you have reasons why you don't have your results. So listen carefully now. These are two separate concepts. This is where some people get confused with cause and effect. Some people with cause and effect get confused because they're attempting to apply the physics concept. The physics concept is really simple. If I do something, if I take action, that's going to create a result. I think everybody gets that. From a more psychological perspective, what I'm proposing to you is that some people live in a world where they know that they're creating all of their experiences. They know they're in charge of their results. They know that if they get something positive, that they had a hand in it. And they know that if they get something negative, they had a hand in it. And they know that when they get something negative, that there's something to learn from it. That learning allows you to begin to achieve what you want in a positive sense. Then other people live in a totally different world. So two different worlds. First world, I create my results. The second world that people live in is that person over there is to blame. They're the ones that did this to me. And if by goodness, if I can find a way to really blame them well, I can sue them and get enough money and maybe I won't have to work. And listen, I have met people that absolutely deserve the settlement that they got. And I have met people that have gone through things that are absolutely horrific. And I understand. I don't have an understanding of that. I haven't been through anything to that extreme where I should be compensated. I've met people for whom they should be, and my heart goes out to them. Once they're getting that compensation, do they realize that they created the experience for some sort of lesson, some sort of learning? Let's step back for a moment. If you in your life have reasons why you don't have the things that you have, towards the end of your life, what do you have? You have a bunch of reasons. You have a bunch of excuses. I have met people that when I looked at them, when I talked to them, when I got to know them as they're one of my students, I sat there and went, of anyone that I've ever met, that person right there could absolutely make an excuse. That person right there could absolutely say, it's not my fault. I've met people handicapped since birth. A great friend of mine, good guy, Sean Stevenson, and he came and took practitioner, master practitioner, trainer's training. I think he's about 2 foot, 3 feet tall. At birth, he had almost every bone in his body broken. He has brittle bones, stunted growth. He's wheelchair bound. And this guy goes out and does motivational seminars. I had to get up in front of him and talk about this concept. And on the break, he walked up to me and he shook my hand and he said, I'm going to use these ideas and this concept in my keynote speeches. I was almost brought to tears. And I looked at Sean and I said, Sean, I meet people that make so many excuses. It's not my fault. It's this, it's that. And he'd smile and he said, I do too. He said, but he can't. What did he say? It was so amazing. He goes, but they can't give me their excuses because once they take a look at me and I've overcome my excuses, he says, then how can they claim that they have real excuses? And I was like, oh man, this guy's got a platform for it. You can look at me and go, oh, wow, you took care of your health, Dr. Matt. You're doing good career-wise. You have a great relationship and kids. Of course you can be at cause. I can share stories with you where I've been there, done that. I want to share with you, I've had students that on pain medications for decades, antidepressants, overcoming wheelchair, bound to a wheelchair their entire life and having to wake up and go, I'm in charge of my results. That's it, plain and simple. Because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, looking back, what would you rather have done? Everything your heart desired and lived life to the fullest, or have a whole bunch of really good reasons why you didn't do anything? Me, I'd rather have results. Those of you that are still sticking around the webinar after that opening, I'm guessing you want some results too. So here's how you measure. If you know you are in charge of your results and you're on the cause side of the equation, you know you're in charge of your results. If you're sitting there still playing the blame game, if you're sitting there going, it's not my fault, then you're giving your empowerment away and you're saying that individual is doing it to me. In my workshops, what I do at this point in the NLP training is I look out at the group and I say, okay, how many of you, by a show of hands, believe that McDonald's is addicting? Please raise your hand. 30% of the room go up, and I go, okay, great. How many of you believe McDonald's is not addicting? About a third of the room, the hands go up. And I said, great. How many of you don't care? You just don't eat that stuff? And people laugh, and half the room's hand, maybe even 2/3 of the room. People are like, can I vote twice? I said, sure. I said, here's the deal. I believe that McDonald's is addicting for people that believe it's addicting. And I believe McDonald's is not addicting for people that believe it's not addicting. And I'm not concerned with whether or not it's truly addicting or not. I'm not here to debate whether it's addicting or not. What I'm here to tell you is that if you believe McDonald's is addicting and therefore it keeps you from eating it, then that's empowering you and you're in charge of your results. If you believe it's not addicting and therefore you don't eat it because you want to be healthy, then that's empowering your results. If you believe either one of those, but you eat it to the extent that you are overweight, unhealthy, and you know you need to stop, then you're using the blame game. Then you're saying, it's not my fault, McDonald's is addicting. Let's get real now for a moment. From a medical standpoint, there is not a physiological addiction to McDonald's. The medical definition of addiction means that your body becomes dependent on the substance, such that if it is removed, that your body actually shuts down. You can be addicted to alcohol. You can be addicted to heroin, to PCP. And I've worked with people in those categories. And you got to be working with a medical doctor, because if you quit, you can become addicted to alcohol to the point that if you quit cold turkey, that your body will shut down. Your liver will cease to function and a person can then die. And that's dangerous. No one has ever died quitting McDonald's cold turkey. Does your body get used to so much salt that you quit and you might get headaches? Yeah, but that's not addiction. That's your body has to adjust and change. So I can reframe whether or not you're addicting. My big question is, are you at cause or are you at effect? Are you saying it's that person's fault over there? It's McDonald's. It's Ronald McDonald's fault. The Hamburglar makes me eat that stuff. Well, then when you do that, you're giving your power away. You're saying, here's my empowerment. Take it, McDonald's. You are in charge of me. Cause and effect says that you're in charge of your results. Now, listen, this whole webinar is not about me telling you, whack, whack, get to cause. No. This webinar is not about me telling you to get to cause. There are techniques like anchoring, which you guys want me to go over. That will help you be more in control of your state, more confident. Then maybe you can say no to it. Cause and effect is not a technique, it's a concept. You know you're at cause when you wake up and you say, it's up to me if I'm healthy. That's when you're at cause. It's up to me if I'm successful. It's up to me to be happy in this relationship. Cause and effect is a concept and idea. The tools that I teach, NLP, hypnosis, mental emotional release therapy, these things help you get to cause. I hope that makes sense. Let me say that again. The techniques that you have learned, not just from me, but any technique that you've learned to help you get rid of some of that baggage, that helps you get to cause. When you give up your excuses, now look at the slide, when you give up your excuses and you move to the cause side of the equation, that's what empowerment is. Empowerment is giving up your reasons and focusing on your results. At any given moment, you need to ask yourself, which side of the equation are you on? And truly, this needs to be something that is done at 100%. I use the analogy of flying an airplane. I'm going to be in LAX next. So imagine we're in Los Angeles and that's the Los Angeles airport code, LAX. And we were all going to fly to Kona to take a HUNA training together. Could you imagine this for a moment? Imagine being there on the airplane. You know, you got your eyes shut, the plane takes off, and over the speaker, the captain comes on and says, "Hi, everyone. I'm just letting you know I had a really bad day yesterday. Thank you guys for getting on this airplane with me, but and today is not any better. I ordered a coffee and I wanted soy, but they put whole milk. My co-pilot's kind of a jerk. Yeah, I'm not feeling up to it. I'm just going to put down wherever I feel like it." I mean, you would freak out. You would be flying over the Pacific and your captain is saying, "Oh, I'm not at cause for getting us to the airport, where I want to land, Kona." That would be unacceptable. You see, in life, we expect the pilot to be at cause. The bank doesn't take excuses. The bank doesn't take reasons. The bank takes results. That's what they take. So what I'm proposing to you is if we were flying from LAX to Kona and you were just as the captain, you were only 99% at cause to getting your results. If you were 1% not, if a plane takes off from LAX and is 1% off course from takeoff, 1% off course, you could miss the Hawaiian Islands by 600 miles. Now, why is that important? Let's see. Where I grew up, I can see I'm not going to show you guys, you're not going to be able to see it, but I can look out my window and on a clear day, I can see Maui. Maui is right over there. The reason why no, I'm sorry, it's right there. I can actually see it right now. There it is. The reason why that's important is because the island that I grew up on is 3 more islands over in that direction. It's called Oahu. And on the clearest day, I cannot see Oahu. And that's 150 miles away. 600 miles off course, and you miss your goal. You miss the Hawaiian Islands. Some people wake up and they go, "I am totally in charge of my health, except my wife keeps baking me too much pastries. I am totally in charge of the success in my career, but the economy sucks. So I'm not going to make enough money. I am absolutely in charge of the happiness in my relationship, but my partner's a jerk." That one little thing you hold on to, you can miss your goal by 600 miles. I've had pilots tell me that number's too low, that it should say 1,000. I'm not here to do a mathematical equation on the distance. I'm here to point out people miss their goals by playing the blame game. People miss their goals by saying, "Where I am, I got to get there. But a part of me getting there, someone else has control over me." I was teaching this class, and some of you have heard this. I think it bears repeating. It was here in Kona. It was HUNA, spiritual teaching, energy work, stuff I love to teach. And I was sharing cause and effect with the group. I was doing it from my heart. And there was a guy sitting over in the front. He had his arms crossed. He was shaking his head. And I said, "Okay, any questions?" And he raises his hand. And he said, "So what you're saying is it's my fault that the Holocaust occurred." And I went, "Wow." I said, "No, man." I said, "My heart goes out to you, first of all. If you were affected by it directly, if you have family members," I said, "my heart goes out to you. I appreciate you sharing that. I have no understanding of what that is, what that's like to go through something horrific like the Holocaust." I said, "Please, from my heart, let me explain something. Take the word fault, write it down. You guys should do this. Write down the word fault and cross it out. Cause and effect has nothing to do with fault or blame. This was before September 11th. This is back in the late 90s. This is probably 98, 99 when I was teaching this class. And I would have used the example of September 11th. No, man, you didn't create the Holocaust, I said to him. Just like we didn't create these horrific experiences that we see outside. If you see something awful outside you, a bombing in Boston, September 11th events, um, something tragic that happens to a family, or when you see, hear, or feel these things, what is cause and effect? I said cause and effect is you being responsible. The word is responsible, not fault. You got to be responsible for your reaction to it. You know, Mother Teresa refused to participate in an anti-war rally. And the reason why she refused to participate in an anti-war rally wasn't because she was for wars. She was willing to participate in a pro-peace rally because she recognized something that most people who have a higher level of enlightenment, they recognize the same thing. And that is that you create things based on your perceptions. And if you're against war, some of those people start to create battles. They go fight the people that do wars. They awful events. I'm not here to lay judgment on abortion, whether you're for it or against it. I find it very interesting when a person who is against abortions kills someone but can justify it. You become, if you fight, here from a Huna philosophy, if you're fighting against something, you become that. So I looked at him and I said, from my heart, if your mission in life is to make this world a better place so that we do not repeat those events like the Holocaust, so that we create a new world, let go of your baggage, get to cause, take responsibility for your reaction, and be like Mother Teresa and create some pro-peace rallies rather than I'm an anti. He was sitting there like this the whole time, shaking his head. I'm like, oh, man, I mean, most of the group got it. And I said, what other question? And he asked me another question, and I answered it, and the group was like, oh, that's fabulous. He's still shaking his head. I said, dude, I said, okay, well, sorry. I was young back then. I did say dude. Um, I said, well, what's going on? And he said, okay, here's the deal. He said, if I brought to you a small child, a 5-year-old child who had been sexually abused, you would look at that child and say, get to cause. You know, I'm human too. At that point, I looked at him and I said, no, this doesn't work for me. I said, you cannot say to me that I would treat another human being like that. I said, that's crossing a boundary for me. I know you're here taking a workshop. I know I'm your teacher. I said, but you need to remember that what you just said is telling me that I am that level of a disrespectful person. He kind of snapped out of it for a minute and he said, sorry. He mouthed the words, I'm sorry. And I said, it's okay. I said, here's the deal. Please listen to me very carefully. If you brought to me a 5-year-old who had been through something I have no clue as to what, not a clue at all. I said, the last thing I would do is look at that child as a victim. Because I have met people that have overcome obstacles like that in their life and come through to the other side, and they become beacons of light for other people. I have met people that are adults that they share with me, here's what I went through, and I'm almost in tears. And I've never been through anything like that. They don't complain about their coffee milk being messed up. They don't complain about a bad hair day. They don't complain about the little bumps in life. I've met people that do. I've met people that, oh, someone cut me off on the freeway. My whole day is ruined. Your whole day because someone cut you off on the freeway. Oh, XYZ happened. And so I'm in an awful mood now the rest of the day. This whole year is blown, I heard one person say, and I'm going, wow, man, talk about taking your empowerment and handing it over. I looked at this guy in the training and I said, if you brought me a 5-year-old, I would keep one thing in mind, and that was I would envision what this child would be like as an adult, empowered, having come through the other side, being at cause, and whatever the opposite of a victim is, an empowered being of light. I said, that person then will become a beacon for other people, and how amazing that individual will be. And then I will do everything in my power with permission to help get that child from where he or she is to that level of empowerment. This lady in the back of the room, she raised her hand and she said, I want to share with you that from the age of, I can't remember if it was 7 or 8, up until she goes, I was a teenager. She goes, I was abused. And some people, they still look at me when I share that as a victim. She says, I'm anything but a victim. And she said, if people looked at me, how Dr. Matt looks at me, how Dr. Matt is talking about right now, what a different world. She said, because I'm a beacon of light. I looked at the guy. I said, do you have any more questions? And he goes, no, I got it. And I talked to him on the break, and I said, look, I appreciate that level of discussion. And thank you for letting me take it to an extreme like that, because it answers the question. I said, I think what you're getting caught up in is the idea that you created the Holocaust, or that child created the negative experience. Let's get something straight. This comes from Huna. There are people in this world that, if given the opportunity, would do harm to others. And if you have had harm done to you, that's not your fault. You're not to blame. They did it to you. That's shame on them. And if they're punished, then that's what they deserve. What I'm saying to you is, at some point, it has to be okay to let go of that baggage and say, I'm in charge of my results. All I'm saying, and I'm saying this from my heart, is that a person can hold on to anything for as long as they want and make it their excuse. One of my last analogy, I'm going to get back to some specifics here. One of my dearest friends growing up, I was at his house and his father smacked him in the back of the head so hard, I shook. I was like, what? My parents have never hit me like that. And he smiled. He goes, yeah, Dad, I deserved that one. That guy went on to be an amazing entrepreneur. I haven't kept in touch with him for about 5-6 years. The last time I talked to him, he's running a division of an international company. Another friend who had every opportunity given to him, his dad looked at him funny one time. I saw him about 3 or 4 years ago. He was working at a restaurant in California. Guess what he brought up within 2 minutes of talking to him? God, Matt, I could have been like you. You and I were in the same place. Look at you. You're a doctor now. Man, my dad really screwed me up. No, it sucks. It sucks to have your parents look at you bad. It's awful to go through negative things. I've gone through things that, if I chose to, I could look at them in the most awful way and make them my excuses. Things that I've been through in my life. I got stuff to blame, but at the end of my life, that's not going to make me feel any better. I want to be at cause. That's what cause and effect is. I hope this hammered it home for you. And again, from my heart, if you've been through something, my heart goes out to you. Find something to help you let go of the baggage to get to cause. I want to talk about obstacles. So let's say you're beginning to get more at cause. You're beginning to get more empowered. And yeah, I didn't change this slide over. You'll have to forgive me. It's the last location we were teaching in Miami. That's the airport code for Miami. Some people think when they get on a plane that it's a straight line. I'm here, I'm going to get there. The thing is, airplanes don't take straight lines. They go up, down, left, right. They make course corrections. The one way that you can avoid obstacles in your life is to never do anything again. If you just give up on ever doing anything ever again, stop setting goals, do nothing, you will never hit another obstacle. Here's the surefire way to avoid obstacles: do nothing. Unfortunately, at some point, you'll have to, go to the bathroom or turn on the lights. And that's technically an obstacle, because the darkness, I got to turn on that light. Wouldn't you rather rethink an obstacle? Let's rethink obstacles, because a flight path isn't just a straight line. It's not the ups and downs. It's everything from start to finish that you are going to do to get from where you are to where you need to be. What are examples of obstacles that we go through in our life? Oh, losing weight. At some point, you have to go buy new clothes. That's an obstacle. I've heard people complain about that. Getting into a relationship, and now you hit your first bump in the road and you're like, God, why are we arguing? Everything was so great for the first month, and now we're having an argument over something. But that argument might be something that you have to resolve to take your relationship to a deeper level. Patanjali, in the book, the Yoga Sutras, he said that to fall down on the path and to curse the act of falling down may be to curse the very thing to help take you to the next level. I've been face down on the path. Sometimes the only thing you can do is dust yourself off, get up, and take that next step. When I look back at those experiences, though, guess what? Those are some of the most empowered experiences I have ever had. And they taught me who I am. Yeah, obstacles. You need to rethink them. One of the ways that I rethink obstacles is I see them as mile markers, or please forgive me, kilometer markers for those of you in countries that use kilometers. A kilometer marker on the side of the road. Let's say you're driving from Brisbane to Sydney. At some point, you're going to hit a mile marker that says X number of kilometers to Sydney, only 100 more kilometers to go. I view an obstacle as a mile marker on the road. You set a goal, you hit that obstacle. The first thing you have to do is you have to go, yes. You have to celebrate because look, here's the deal. Listen carefully now. You wouldn't hit the obstacle unless you were closer to your goal. Think about that for a moment. You would not be hitting the obstacle unless you were closer to the goal. Obstacles are a part of life. If you ever gotten on the freeway and you didn't expect there to be traffic and all of a sudden you hit traffic, you don't just stop the car and go, oh, that's it. I'm not going to make it today. I'm just going to get out of the car, shut it and leave it here and start staring at the pavement. No one does that. Except in goals like relationships, health and fitness, and career. Oh, I've been doing so good, but I went out to dinner and I ate the apple pie a la mode, and therefore I must have ruined my diet. You hit one obstacle and you think, oh my goodness, let's get out of the car and stop driving. Here's the deal. The next time you hit an obstacle, begin to train yourself to say, I would not have hit this unless I was one step closer. What do I do to get around it? Do I have to sit and wait in the traffic a little bit? Do I need to pull over to the side? Do I need to get off this freeway, find another route? Yeah. What do I need to do? I can't use the car analogy, but some obstacles require you to just push through. You just got to put your head down and just barrel through. Don't do that on the freeway. That would be bad. Um, avoid running into other cars. But in a more metaphorical sense, what you want to do is you want to be able to push through that. Yeah. You want to be able to get through it. I'm going to quote the sacred scriptures of the Matrix. The Matrix. What was it? Morpheus said to Neo. And if you didn't see the Matrix, go watch the first Matrix and watch my webinar on perception as projection first. The first Matrix is about perception as projection. The second Matrix is about cause and effect. I mean, halfway through, they have an entire discussion about cause and effect and about empowerment and who has power. Anyway, in the first Matrix, they were already beginning to discuss cause and effect because Morpheus said to Neo, all these people that are plugged in, some of them are so dependent on the system that they wouldn't want to unplug. Some people, they get such a benefit out of their obstacles and excuses that they don't want to unplug. I really want to get this demo that I did out. I worked with a guy who had PTSD, amazing individual. And this was in San Diego last year. And we recorded it. He was a former Marine. And from my heart, I'm sharing this. Helping him get over PTSD, that was the easy part. It took almost a whole day to get him to be okay to let go of his paycheck. Pardon me. Yeah, he was getting money from the government for having PTSD. You're getting free money for having an issue. You got to weigh it out. If I let go of my problem and I no longer get the money, I got to make my own money. You know, listen, being at cause is not as easy as the blame game. We unfortunately have created a society that makes blaming other people lucrative. You blame other people, you get paid for it sometimes. And I'm not claiming that he created his PTSD, his post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm claiming that he has the ability inside to let it go when you're guided by someone that can help guide you. He let it go. He chose to let it go. He overcame it. And I follow him on Facebook, and his life 180 degrees, totally different. And an amazing, when I get emails from him or messages from him, it's, thank you, Dr. Matt. My life is transformed and I'm making better money now. See, I can see that. Other people can see it. Ultimately, though, you have to see it. You have to see that it is possible to let go of the baggage. You have to see that being at cause empowers you as an individual. This is a heavy concept. It's a big one. It really is. And it's not meant to get you to cause. It's meant for you to understand and begin to recognize. I want to give you some tips. I want to summarize now. So, the first thing that I really want you to take away from this webinar is realize that you have the empowerment in your life. You hold the keys. You are the pilot in your life. I, I wouldn't want to be a passenger in my life. Some people, they're passengers. They sit there and they go, the government's going to fly me to my destination. My partner is going to fly me to my destination. You're the pilot, and being the pilot takes responsibility. However, that's empowerment. Being the pilot means you are responsible. Takeoff to landing, it's up to you. You are the empowered one. And I'm going to say it again. I would rather be the empowered one in life. I would rather be the pilot. Give me the responsibility. I would rather have it. I hope you guys appreciate that. In the end, reasons are not going to bring you joy. I have never met someone, listen carefully, I've never met someone that says the following. I've never met someone that complained, oh, I lived life to the fullest. I had the relationship of my dreams. I followed my career path that was on my purpose. I did everything my heart's desired. Man, that sucked. I've never met someone that says they lived, loved, and enjoyed life and it sucked. I've never heard anyone complain about that. I've gotten to meet tens of thousands of people at this point, and I've met people later on in their life that come up to me and they go, what NLP technique can help me overcome regret? I said, what do you mean? I'm 80 and my whole life I've lived with excuses. I said, good. However long more you think you're going to live that amount of time to the fullest, and you will truly be happy. Regret's a bugger. I have no other way around it. Regret's a bugger. I would rather have attempted to do things in my life and failed and know that I went for it than sit back and not. That's the choice is up to you, though. It's in your hands. And finally, begin to hear your reasons. You have to do something to wake up to your reasons. You have to do something to open your eyes, wake up to the fact that, hey, I'm making excuses. No, that's not going to solve them. You might begin to trace where the baggage comes from. Ultimately, you have to begin to become aware of the baggage that you carry. And what can you do to unravel that? Be honest with yourself and ask, is this an excuse? I've met people that they have a right to make excuses and they don't. And so the choice is yours. What I'd like to do is I'd like to, for any of you who have had any questions, or if you have a question right now, go ahead and type it in. I saved a little bit of time because I love the Q&A. What I want to do is I want to remind you of a couple of things and I'll go right to the Q&A. Please, we always love to give to support to our graduates. That's the email address. You guys can get a hold of us through drmatt@nlp.com. Please make sure that you've checked out our websites. We're going to be updating drmatt.com real soon, make it much more interactive. NLP.com, Huna.com. I want to start doing some podcasts. I don't know how many of you guys would be interested in podcasts. Chelsea, we should have done a poll on podcasts. Maybe next time. We'll do a poll next time on podcasts. And in addition to that, make sure that you're on our mailing list and connect up with us on Facebook. That's at the empowerment part, facebook.com/empowerment partnership and facebook.com/Dr. Matt James. And finally, we are going to have a gift for you guys today. I want to take some questions first. It's an induction CD to help you find your purpose. I'm going to give you the link in just a moment. And I want to remind you, we have 2 practitioners coming up, Los Angeles and Seattle. Oh, if you're in Seattle, help us spread the word. We totally missed the idea that it's Memorial Day weekend. We're hoping that that makes it more incentive to come because we're doing a Huna Day. Shh, don't tell the people in LA, but we're doing a Huna Day. It's the last Huna Day that we're doing on our practitioner trainings. So come to the Seattle training. If you know people up in Seattle, let them know it's only $97. Such a wonderful investment for you guys to get a full practitioner training and Huna. LAX. In LA, we're doing Huna too. But it's not a whole day. So it'll be good though, I promise. I'll give you guys the link in just a moment. Let me open up my little panel here. I got about 9 minutes to take some questions. Let's see. Can you discuss panic anxiety and cause and effect example? Absolutely. Sherry, thank you for bringing that up. Panic and anxiety is a negative emotion. And so there are a variety of different techniques that are out there that help people release things like negative emotions, limiting decisions. The technique that we teach for panic and anxiety is called mental and emotional release therapy. There was a study done with at-risk teenagers, and Dr. Rose Johnson and Dr. Tracy. Why am I blanking on her last name? Anyway, they were just both at our Miami practitioner training, and they did the studies with at-risk teenagers who had uh, diagnosed anxiety, depression, and the release technique that we teach helps you to let go of that baggage. There are other techniques out there, and I know ours work. It works so amazingly well. You don't just say, "Oh, I'm having anxiety, get to cause." No, I hope you understood that and took that away from this discussion that we've had. You need to find a technique to help you reduce that pain and anxiety. That panic and anxiety is so easy to let go of. We don't cover that at the practitioner training. However, that is a place to start. And learning how to be in control of your states through anchoring. I always love to give at least 3 places you can get this information. I love to give a book, a CD set, and a training. So here's the deal. Book. I'm in the middle of writing it. I'm in the middle of writing the book that explains how to do the technique. You got to give me about a year. We have 2 studies that are going to be in there, case studies from doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists who are contributing. It's going to be a powerful book. I think it is going to transform what we teach at the Empowerment Partnership. The second option is a CD set. You can email our office. The CD set is called Empowering Your Life. It guides you through letting go of negative emotions. Option number 3, get to a training. Come to practitioner training when it gets to be near you, or take the investment and fly to the one in LAX. Most practitioner trainings are $4,000. At $97, even with plane fare and hotel, you are still saving so much by being there. So those are your 3 options. I'm working on the book. I'll do it as quickly as I can. CD set, you can email the office, get more information about that, visit nlp.com, or go to the training. Those are the best ways that I can help you. Peter, how do I get to cause when dealing with grief? Peter, I would go listen to one of the past webinars that is HUNA based. Grief tends to be connected more with the loss of someone. And the best technique I know for that is Ho'oponopono. I have a book called HUNA that it discusses it in there. You can call our office. There's a CD that deals specifically with Ho'oponopono. I have met people that you go through that process once and they relieve and alleviate so much grief. And if you're ready, by the way, if you're ready to release it, then the technique absolutely works. To become a doctor, I'm a doctor of psychology. And to become a doctor, I did my research on Ho'oponopono. And some of the people in my test group were grieving for years, where they were able to measure the grief. And one experience of Ho'oponopono, a significant reduction in that. Maybe you got to do it a couple times, but here's the deal. The technique works. So it's called Ho'oponopono. Chelsea, if you can type that in on the chat so that Peter is able to see that. Peter, Ho'oponopono. And that is the technique for you. So I highly recommend that. Peter, thank you for asking. A few more questions. Let's see, Judith Jane. What is the name of the technique? Uh, Jane, if you can let me know which technique, mental emotional release therapy. I think that's the one you're talking about. Judith, how do you get rid of the voices that are still there from my childhood that are holding me in the same mindset? Yeah, Judith, that's why I teach what I teach. Like your aunt and your uncle telling you you're worthless. The kids that were in the study that was done, the at-risk teenagers that overcame those things, all they ever heard their entire life, you're worthless, you'll never amount to anything. Yep. I had teachers tell me that. I'm so lucky I had such an empowered mom. You know, in 3rd grade, I was so bored. I could do math in my head, and my teachers wouldn't accept that. I could come up with the answer, but I had trouble showing my work. They wanted to hold me back. I'll share that with you guys. They wanted to hold me back. My mom went into the school and said, hell no. No, you're not keeping up with my son. Put him in an advanced class. My mom was so adamant, so empowered about it. They did. They put me in a class. I was doing math at like three or four grade levels above that. Thank goodness for my mom, man. Not everyone has parents like that. As a kid, I told my dad I want to become a master practitioner of NLP. I was only 14 at the time, 13. Richard Bandler had invited me to go take a master practitioner training. Thank goodness I had parents that empowered me. I had teachers that said, you're lazy, you'll never amount to anything, you never do your homework. Yeah, in high school, I wasn't that great of a student. My mind was everywhere but with what I wanted to do. And I'm not what I actually, my mind was what I wanted to do, but what I wanted to do had nothing to do with school. Total night and day when I went to college. I took a few years off and went back to school. And as an adult, I went in so empowered. What a different experience with teachers. People with the best intentions can tell you the worst things. And man, I've been there. You know what? You can overcome that. And that's the negative programming. That's negative programming that drags you down. I don't have a book on that yet. Huna talks about it a little bit. I would highly recommend if you can make it to a practitioner training, that's a way to go. I think we have a CD set on NLP, just our practitioner. I think it's less to go to the training, though. I think the CD set costs more. It's kind of weird now that we're doing the scholarship model. So, Judith, that's the best advice that I have for you. Hey, Robert, I think this is Robert that was just at Huna and up in Toronto, if I remember correctly. Robert, if you answer that down a little bit later, then I apologize. But Robert, I think that's you, buddy. Nice to see you here. What tip can you suggest of letting go of fear of failure? Well, Robert, you're coming to master practitioner, if I remember correctly, and you're going to be there in, what is it, 6 weeks. Uh, we teach how to let go of it right there. At the master practitioner training, we teach you how to let it go through the mental emotional release and how to then set up your values in a way that you get rid of that old fear of failure, fear of success, awful cycle that I've met people that can go through. And so we're going to be dealing with it there. Robert, I hope that's you that I'm talking about. If not, then the Robert who asked that, I'll see you at a future training. Anyway, it's 5 o'clock. I always do my best to go to an hour. So let me give you guys the link. This is the link for you guys to go to nlp.com, cause gift. There's the link right there. Chelsea just sent me a text message. Remember to give them the link. Any other questions that I didn't get a chance to get to? And I know there's quite a few. I'm doing my best to save time for questions. I'll see if they're good to write a blog on. I'm going to look through them after this. If I can give you a quick answer, I will. If not, then I'll see if I can write a blog for you and get that answered. I hope this was a great webinar. And thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to be hitting the road in about a week, so it might be a little while before our next webinar. I'll do my best to schedule one and get it out there, and we're going to focus on anchoring. So thank you all again. Aloha, ahui ho. Class dismissed. Love you all. Take care. Aloha.